Hi, good morning, everyone. It's so nice of you to join us. This is Courtney from Hartford Community Action Agency, and we are here today with week 1 of our food advocacy course, and we will be meeting for the next 6 weeks. So a little bit about me before we get started together. My position here at Hartford Community Action Agency, I'm the Food Advocacy and SNAP Outreach Coordinator. And so I began with Hartford Community Action Agency about 2017. And prior to that, I was a preschool teacher and a program director of preschool for about 10 years. So that's my background. With this in mind, I do love a family approach to teaching and to working with clients and educating clients. And I feel like it's a two-way street. So I learn as much from you as hopefully you take away from our time together. I'm also at home, a mom of 4. So I do put some of the lessons I'm going to share in place in my own home. So I feel like they are applicable across generations and ages and family types. And I hope that you learn a lot as we spend this next 6 weeks together. So let's get started. So the first week is called Meeting My Plate Goals on a Budget. And so probably the most important thing to discuss is, what is My Plate? And for those of you that may not know, My Plate is a guide for healthy eating, and it actually shows a visual of a place setting image to show you what to consider when preparing a meal. And so these are essentially the building blocks for a healthy diet. And why is a healthy diet important? For better all over health. So if you think about it, our bodies are like machines, and we need fuel to run those machines, almost like a car. And everything that we eat or drink counts, either in a good way or in a negative way, to how our bodies are going to run in the future. So keeping this in mind, how can we use My Plate? So it's a really simple reminder of what a plate could look like when you prepare your meals. And essentially, there are 5 food groups represented in My Plate. So first is fruits. And when we talk about fruits, we're going to say focus on those whole fruits. So juice is great, 100% juice anyway. However, we want to focus on actually eating the whole fruit. And we'll get to the reasons why as we go on. Next, with our vegetables, we want to vary our veggies, so eating different parts of the plant. Next, with our grains, an important point is we want to eat grains, but we want to make sure that half of those grains that we are eating are whole grains. And again, we will delve into these each week. Next, our protein. So protein, we often think of as meat-based sources of protein. However, there's a variety of other types of protein, and we are going to talk about those throughout the weeks. So varying our protein routine. And finally, as far as dairy, that's considered a food group, and just focusing on if we are going to drink milk or use dairy products to move to those fat-free items. Okay, next. So a little bit more about the food groups, and I'm going to focus mainly on the bottom part that talks about how many cups or how many portions you should have from each food group each day. So listed below are some ideas of how much of those items you should eat each day. However, what I would recommend is these do vary based on our gender, our weight, our age. So what you can do is actually discuss with your doctor or your pediatrician what works for you, or you can always go on myplate.gov to find out, based on those statuses that I mentioned earlier, what is best for you. But this is just a good guideline. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a little bit about each of the food groups, and then as weeks go on, we're going to delve deeper, as I said, into those food groups. And what I like to do is, in addition to having a nutritional fact or tip, I always like to have also a financial or budget tip that goes with that, because healthy eating is great in a perfect world. We all want to do better, I think. However, we want to make sure that this is financially feasible and something we can do, and we can, I promise you. So as far as fruits, we want to eat a variety of colors of fruit. So think of eating a rainbow. So eating a variety of colors. And the reason why is because that way, when we're eating different colors, we're affecting different processes in our body. So different colored fruits are going to have different vitamins and different nutrients, which are going to help different or brain health. Different processes are going to be helped. As far as a budgetary tip, when eating fruits and vegetables too, we want to make sure that the way we can save money is, first of all, if you're going to eat fresh, which is great, we want to try to shop locally to keep prices down. Also, you're going to know where your food is coming from. And finally, one thing we're going to talk about a lot throughout the 6 weeks is using produce, so fruits and veggies, in all three forms. And that would be fresh, frozen, and canned. That's going to save you the most money. Next, as far as vegetables, again, we want to eat a variety of parts of the plant. So think of a vegetable as a tree. So we want to eat leaves, which would be lettuce. We want to eat stems, which would be something like asparagus, and also those root vegetables, so something like carrots. And again, shopping locally and using all three forms, fresh, frozen, and canned. Next, focusing on grains. So we want to eat our grains, but we would like half of them to be whole grains. And there's a couple reasons for that, which we'll get to in a minute. However, a whole grain would be a type of grain that has all three parts intact. Okay, so all three parts. And the reason we want this is for a couple reasons. So if we're eating whole grains, they're going to keep you feeling fuller longer. They're going to help you get the bad stuff out of your digestive tract. And also, thinking about this, when you're eating refined grains, or for instance, white bread or white pasta versus whole wheat bread or whole wheat pasta, you're missing out on at least 2 parts of that grain. And that's going to take away some of the nutrients. So there's different nutrients in all three parts. So we want to make sure that we're looking for whole grains. And we are going to actually have a lesson on whole grain, but essentially to start off, you want to make sure that the product actually says whole and a type of grain when you're looking at the ingredients. Next, we're going to talk about dairy quickly. So we want to make sure that we're eating calcium-rich foods. And a big way to do this is to include dairy in your diet if you can. And so some of those foods would be milk, cheeses, yogurts, but we want to make sure that we are trying to focus on low-fat or fat-free versions of those items. And the reason being is we do not, as adults at least, need full fat from these products. What we need is the calcium, and you're going to get the same amount of calcium even with low-fat versions of these products. And a budgetary tip as far as dairy. So think about dairy, your milks, your cheeses, your yogurts. They are packaged and processed in so many different ways that it's really hard to tell what is the best price, what's the best deal when you're actually in a store. So we're going to practice throughout the next 6 weeks using what's called unit price to determine the best way to purchase items, especially dairy, on a budget. Lastly, we have our protein group. So as I said before, a lot of times we think about protein just being our meats, and that's fine. However, if we are eating meat, we want to try to focus on those low fat or lean meats like chicken, turkey, and fish. And we want to make sure that we're baking or broiling those items where possible and not frying. A treat's always fine, but if we're having it on a daily basis, to try to really bake or broil those items. And again, a big thing that we don't often think about, which is meat is not the only source of protein. So we want to focus on sometimes getting beans and seeds and nuts and also eggs in our diet. And that's going to help us save money too. So by varying our protein routine and not just focusing on red meat, for example, we are going to extend our budget so that we can purchase some other types of protein, which is also going to be budget friendly and also friendly to our health as well. Okay, so today our focus, since it's our first class, is going to be on the fruit food group. And so what fruits are in the food group? Why, we'll start with that any fruit or 100% fruit juice counts. And it can be fresh, frozen, canned. It could be whole, cut up, or pureed. Okay? And here's a list of some of those items that are going to fall under the fruit category, so to be more specific. However, as you see, 100% fruit juice is listed there. It is fine. However, again, we want to try to focus on if you can eat the whole fruit. So for example, an apple versus drinking apple juice, you're going to get a lot more fiber and a lot more nutrients by eating the actual fruit. So focusing on fruits, again, they're going to provide essential nutrients that we need, and we want to make sure that half of our plate each day is fruits and vegetables. And here's some tips that I like. They're pretty simple to try to keep fruit in our forefront of our minds each day. So the first thing, keep a visible reminder. So keep fruit on your counter. Experiment with flavor. So try buying fruits when they're in season. Again, 3, think about variety. So using fresh, frozen, and canned to save money and also to try different types. Number 4, again, don't forget the fiber. So try eating that whole fruit versus drinking juice. 5 and 6 together, and 7, include fruit at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So you can include it in all those three of those meals. And there are some tips on how to do that. Snacking on fruits is a great idea. So number 8, so maybe try dried fruits mixed with nuts. Chop it up ahead of time. It's easy to store and easy to carry with you. Number 9, which I think is always important, if you have children at home, they're going to be watching what you do. And so we are their first and best role models. So maybe try eating fruit instead of something else like potato chips during the day to set a good example. And probably a very important point to end with is we want to make sure that we're keeping our food in general, but fruit safe. So we want to make sure that we're washing it, we're cleaning the fruit, running it under water. If we need to rub it with a brush, do that, and dry it with a clean towel. So always make sure your food's safe. Another important point, so we're going to get ready to go into the kitchen soon and see a demo, but I think it's an important fact to note that there's something for everybody to do, all ages, for people to do in the kitchen, especially kids age 2 to 5. So here are some examples of things they can do. I'm not going to read them, but based on the children's ages that you might have at your home, you can see that there is a variety of things that they can do to help. And we want to make sure kids are helping in the kitchen where possible. Okay, so we are going to get ready to move on to our demo. We are going to make breakfast banana splits. And so hopefully you have your ingredients that you can take out with you and you can follow along. So come along with us as we make a breakfast banana split.
The first food group we're going to discuss is our fruits food group. And fruits can come in 3 different ways. I have 2 of them here. So you can purchase fruits that are fresh, frozen, or canned. And one of the ways that we can keep our prices down and keep our budget in line with what we have to spend is by buying fresh produce only when it's in season. When it's in season, it's going to taste best and it's going to be the best price. Next is our frozen fruits. Frozen fruits are great because they can store for long periods of time. They're also reasonably priced. Usually you can find a type that's on sale. And secondly, they're pretty easy to prepare. Mainly you just have to let it defrost. The one thing you do want to pay attention to is to make sure that when you're buying frozen fruits, that you try to purchase some that do not have added sugar. Finally, we have our canned fruits. Canned fruits are great, for example, in an emergency like this, when you might not have access to fresh or frozen food. I always say it's good to have canned on hand. Canned always gets a bad rap. However, in situations like this, we're finding that it is important to have things that we can prepare food-wise that are quick and easy, and canned can be that option. One way that we can help to make our canned food a little bit healthier is by draining it and rinsing it. Also, if you're buying canned fruit or packaged fruit, try to buy it in 100% fruit juice. Hi, today we're going to show you how to make a breakfast banana split, and this would fall under the fruit category. When I make a recipe, I usually like to include items from 2 food groups. So today, to prove to you that my recipes are family friendly in addition to budget friendly, I have my daughter Bridget here, who's 17 years old. She's a senior, and so I'm going to let her take over to tell you a little bit about the recipe.
Okay, so the ingredients you're going to use for this recipe are 1 tub of Greek yogurt, any kind that you like, 2 bananas that you're going to quarter, so 1 banana for each person that you're making it for. And then any toppings that you choose. We have chosen today to use a bag of granola, some mixed berries, which are blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, and blackberries. And then we decided to add chocolate chips to ours to make it a little sweeter. Before you start anything in the kitchen, you should always wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is peel and quarter the bananas, and then we're going to open up all the other ingredients. Alright, now you're going to add all the toppings that you enjoy.
I hope you enjoyed watching my daughter Bridget make our breakfast banana splits, and hope it's something that you could also make at home. Last to note, she's not wearing gloves because we are eating this as a family. We're not serving other people. Take care and be well.
Hi everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the making of our breakfast banana splits that I did with my daughter Bridget, and I hope you enjoy eating them as well. So moving on, what I always like to do when I teach classes, especially where children would be participating, is to sort of tie that lesson in a way that children can understand. And I feel like the best way to do this is by including book reading. So today we're going to have a reading of one of my favorite books, which is called A Fruit is a Suitcase for Seeds. So grab your kids if you have them and sit back and enjoy the reading of A Fruit is a Suitcase for Seeds by Jean Richards.
A Fruit is a Suitcase for Seeds by Jean Richards. Most plants have seeds. When you put a seed in the ground and water it, a new plant grows from it. Seeds often travel to faraway places. If seeds did not travel, too many plants would grow in one place. It would be very crowded. Some seeds travel on the wind. Some seeds travel in the water. Many seeds travel inside fruits. The fruit is like a suitcase for the seeds. It protects them on their trip. Fruits look beautiful and taste good, so animals and people eat them and drop the seeds in different places. Some fruits carry one big seed inside them. The seed is called a pit, like in an avocado, an apricot, a peach, a plum, and a cherry. A cherry is one of these fruits. Some fruits have many small seeds inside them. An apple is one of these fruits. How many seeds do you find in your apple? Other fruits with many small seeds in them: pears, lemons, and melons like watermelon. Some fruits have many teeny seeds inside of them. A kiwi is one of these fruits. Other fruits with many teeny seeds are blueberries, bananas, and of course kiwi. Many berries, such as strawberries and blackberries, carry their seeds on the outside. Raspberries do too. Some vegetables we eat are really fruits. They carry seeds too. Some examples of vegetables that we eat that are really fruits are butternut squash, green peas, tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, acorn squash, and olives. And don't forget the cucumber. Peas are seeds too. Can you find the seeds on this ear of corn? A hint for you. It's the part of the plant that you eat. That's right, it's the seeds. I'll bet you didn't know that every time you eat a peach, a cherry, an avocado, a plum, a cucumber, a tomato, a grape, an apple, an orange, a pea, a pear, a melon, a banana, or a blueberry, you are really eating a suitcase for seeds.
Hi everyone, I'm back and I hope you enjoyed the reading of the book. And if you're interested, you can always rent it from the library to read again in person. So as we wrap up week 1, I'm so glad that you joined us. I like to have a mission each week. So this week for week 1, a couple things that I'd like for you to try to do. The first one is to memorize the 5 food groups that we mentioned today in My Plate. The second would be name one item from each group that you enjoy eating. So share that amongst your family. And finally, if you have the opportunity, try a new fruit sometime this week. So those would be my mission of the week items for you to participate in with your family. Finally, don't forget, next week we will be joining together for week 2. We're going to be discussing vegetables next week. So look out for that link, and we look forward to seeing you again next week for week 2. Thank you again for joining us. See you soon and be well.